I'll be the first to admit here, I'm completely a Google fanboy. I do almost all of my work on Google Drive, Google Docs, Google Sheets, etc. Often on Chrome or my Android phone. I fucking love Google. But it may be time to break up the tech giants. A few of the Democratic candidates, I think specifically Warren, have already said that it's time we break up Facebook or Google or Apple or the various big tech companies that they mention in all these articles. Now, apparently, the House has actually launched an investigation into these companies for antitrust issues, and basically they're looking to see possibly breaking them up as monopolies. So I'm not really sure where I fall on this because, like I said, I love the Google, and so on the one hand, on the bad side, I suppose it's this monopolization, and that could be bad because it could easily be made malevolent and turned against us. Maybe not in a really dire dystopian, like evil Big Brother future style way, but definitely there are some malicious things that could happen. And we've already seen some of that, like with Facebook data and, these data breaches and privacy issues and so on. There's already some of that going on. They have a lot of this centralized, very important and vital information, and they have the infrastructure. So I can see where that would go bad. On the other hand, though, Facebook, the cloud, all these technologies have revolutionized modern life. I mean, it's enabled vast changes in business and in society and day-to-day life, in school, and in all fields, essentially. There's not an area where the cloud, per se, hasn't had some sort of impact. So I guess for me, the question that it boils down to is that is it going to be better, or would it have been better in the past if these things had been broken up earlier, or if there were just, instead of one giant Google corporation or one giant Facebook, like would it have been better if there were multiple smaller competing social media or multiple smaller, Google-like services? So, I pose that question to you, Tony. Would that have been better?
I don't know. I know I'm a little echoey on your end.
So, apologies. I can make a quick adjustment.
Well, while you're adjusting that, I'm not going to make a comment on whether or not I think it would have been better in the past if we would have had a different policy in place, aside from to say that not only do I agree that they should be broken up, but I think that we are late on recognizing that. Like Google, for example, has had an effective monopoly on search engine use for a long time, right?
Yeah.
Or are they claiming that Yahoo and fucking Dogpile are still... Ask Jeeves, is that shit still a thing?
And that's just it, and that's kind of where my next point was, is that how do we define an internet monopoly?
Because I guess that's what I was trying to say and failing.
Yeah, because, the old school, like, Bell telephone used to be the big example. They actually had the physical infrastructure. They owned it, period. And, like, that was the monopoly. No one else had the property, the infrastructure, the physical presence where Bell did. And so it was oppressive to people because there was literally no other possible option. But with Google, like, everyone knows Google search is the best, like, period. It's not questioned. But there are other search engines. Like, there are competitors. So, like, is the search function a monopoly? Or
are those competitors? Like, or are they...
knockoffs?
Not that wasn't what I was going to say. It's not just that Google is the best. You don't Yahoo something. You Google it. It's so... the stranglehold that it has on the concept of an internet search is so strong that it has become a verb.
Yeah. And I don't necessarily think that... I think there are ways in which we should break up Google in the sense of, if you look at, like, say, the cell phone market, it comes down to basically, do you want Apple or do you want Google? Even if you buy an off-brand phone and it's not Samsung, If it's some other brand, there's pretty much a 99.99% chance it runs Android.
Yeah, and even if you buy like a Kindle or something, it's still running.
Yeah,
Android.
exactly. It's just a redesigned Kindle or a redesigned Android system. And so, like, I don't know if that's good. I don't know if that is inherently a good system, because basically the entire market is in the hands of two companies. There's no competition. And I mean, Windows tried to come in, but unfortunately, like, their OS sucked. So like it failed. And so there's not like a genuine competitor to those two. That's it. Like, you have Apple or you have Google, and there's not really a whole lot of choice there, and neither of them are particularly customer friendly.
Well, to that point, when you go into a cell phone store, because we just got new phones recently, the one that we went into, there were literally two small islands in the middle of this. It's a one-room store, and there's two little islands, and one of them has an iPhone, and I think, I don't know, maybe they're still selling like a 1 or 2 years previous iPhone. So a couple iPhones on display, and then like 4 or 5 phones from Samsung. The brand new one, the Note, and then the the previous year of the Galaxy S and the Note, and then they had one from 2 years ago that was the only $20 a month or $10 a month or whatever.
Yeah. It's basically,
that's the fucking store. Like, that's what that's browsing for cell phones, is you pick, are you an Apple user or Android? And then you either buy the new phone or you get suckered into a payment plan on an old phone that is already at least a year obsolete, but as much as 2 or 3 or whatever the case is. It's really weird.
And then there's like also this sort of like token excessively minor section where like you can still find it wasn't bad. There's this token section where you can still find a flip phone, maybe like an off-brand.
There wasn't any of that shit at the store I had that I was at.
So it's in that sense, like, yeah, we should break up the monopoly, but like the search engine in particular is difficult, because I don't know that they intentionally sought out being a monopoly, but I think it did come down to, there was a period in time where there were lots of options, but we all as a collective decided, like, oh, this Google one works very well. And then from there, they've been more oppressive about maintaining that position, and it has been problematic. They've been accused of doctoring results in an unfair way and so on, but how do you break that up? You know what I mean? How do you make that into a new entity? Because like it's
going to be difficult, and this is getting real long here, so I want to bring this one to a close and make sure that we actually get out a salient point. As fun as the discourse has been, so it doesn't matter if you or I don't have the qualifications, or if we're just too stupid to come up with a solution for how do we deal with, specifically like policy-wise, functionally, what do we do, what code has to be written, what law has to be written to fix this problem. That's not my fucking job. That's not your fucking job. We're two literature scholars. We're too fucking stupid. We're not going to come up with the right solution. But that doesn't mean that we're not qualified to say, hey, this is an obvious monopoly, and we have to stop treating the internet like it's somehow separate from regular life. The only people who are still railing against, like, people with their cell phones are in their 70s now, for the most part. I guess I can't say blanket-wise, but the tech stuff is absolutely integral to your ability to function as a citizen of, especially in, I can talk mostly for the United States, but here, having a decent phone and having internet access and using Facebook and Twitter and whatever else, those aren't, optional things that you might choose to do. They're as much a part of our life as, I don't know, I guess cable TV or the refrigerator or any of these other things that were transformative. And so even if I can't tell you how to break them up, they need to be broke up. Facebook, Twitter, Amazon, Google.
The analogy I think that works really well for me is, as a kid, it was you either had Xbox or PlayStation. Nintendo or Sega. It was really straightforward. As an adult now, I really appreciate Steam because we still see the big budget studios coming out with big budget games for, you know, the big name brand consoles, and then you see a lot of really good, really well done indie developments. And that's what we need more of. We need more diversity, and we need more people putting in really good efforts, producing really good things, that we can still have the big companies. But I like those indie games because they often are really good and they do things that the big budget companies won't. So definitely break them up.
Break them
like,
up.
comment, subscribe.
Ooh, hit that subscribe.